What does one do when they find out their life has been built on a lie? How does one deal with the painful realization that they never mattered from the start? What can one do to fill the emptiness left behind by false love? A shattered heart can never be whole after a betrayal. It can be mended, but not completely. Trauma from betrayal is a psychological wound that cuts deep at the core of our ability to trust others. This kind of hurt, it changes people. They find themselves alone to grapple with the painful feelings of doubt. And yet at the same time, it's their responsibility to heal the wounds that have been inflicted upon them. Some people move on, but not her. Not her. She has no place to go, no one to turn to, and nothing to believe in. Her only purpose left in the world is to take revenge on the person who made her suffer. A bullet in the head will not make do. It's painless and quick. Taking that person's life does not offset a lifetime of psychological and emotional manipulation. She wants to make sure the offender suffers as much pain as they inflicted upon her. The thing they live for, their purpose in life, what they were entrusted with, and everything they believed in shall be taken away from them. She will not rest until she personally kills the demon god, the thing her offender spent their whole life to bring about. And that conviction is one of the reasons why she was entrusted with the power to save the world by the goddess of fate, chosen as one of the 6 braves to defeat the demon god. She is Fremy Speeddraw, the saint of gunpowder. An introspective loner who has grown cynical and jaded to the nature of other individuals. Kindness is met with suspicion. The goodness of anyone else's heart will be rejected. We see the look of her transparent blue eye is more often than not withdrawn, calm, and guarded. This stoic, cold demeanor is all as a result of emotional detachment. The unwillingness to trust anyone makes her a person who distances themselves from forming interpersonal relationships, seeking companionship, and building deeper connections. Roaming the earth with nothing left but her quest for vengeance, she's made peace with being alone and living a solitary life until she dies, fulfilling her desire for retribution. Fremy is cautious and reserved by nature. The times when she opens up emotionally to people are very few and far between. I mean, it's a given, since she hates humans. She only finds comfort in the company of animals, especially in the presence of dogs. A dog's love is genuine. There's no hidden intention, only unconditional love. I mean, simply put, she loves animals, but doesn't want a thing to do with humans. Not one to particularly participate in small talk. There has to be a solid reason and purpose for her to speak with them. When she does speak, she's direct.
You're a lost cause.
She's honest.
The only reason for that is you're weirdo.
She's serious.
You're deluded.
Never afraid to say what is on her mind. If anyone acts suspicious, she's not only ready to call them into question, she will literally be ready to shoot them. Her dark past had skewed her outlook on the world, as shown by the extreme measures she took by closing off her heart in an effort to protect herself from the possible outcome of betrayal. She has assumed everyone is an enemy or a potential enemy until proven otherwise. While Fremy comes across as someone who seems predisposed to not work well with others, in truth, she's actually very cooperative as long as it's in her best interest to comply. But even so, she has no intention of joining the other braves to fight the demon god. Despite being chosen as one of the 6 braves, she could never completely free herself from the infamy of her past crimes. Certainly, the person responsible for the widespread killing of notable brave candidates will inevitably become the object of suspicion among the other braves. Thus she, the one known as the brave killer, found it prudent to stray from the other heroes. If anyone uncovers the truth of her identity, there would be no choice but to engage in a battle of life and death. Being weighed down by one's very own existence, unable to let go of the tragic past that has shackled her. Fremy is the first and only human fiend hybrid in the world. Strange as it may seem, she grew up in a loving family. She was given love, support from her fiend mother. She had the best fiend friends that accepted her. She even had a pet dog. She believed the demon god was a wonderful being. They gave her happiness. Fremy loved them dearly and was willing to do anything for them. Although human blood runs through her veins, she considered herself a full fiend tainted with filthy human genes from her father. In order to obtain full recognition of a real fiend, she devoted herself to do everything she could to make her mother proud of her. The hybrid offspring was raised believing that killing humans is a good thing. I mean, that's why not knowing her human father was ever a concern because she was taught to despise them. She began training at an early age to become strong in accordance with her mother's orders. They gave her a gun and ownership of the Saint of the Gunpowder, an unofficial saint that's not under the supervision of the All Heavens Temple, meaning the user is free to use their power as they choose, even for malicious purposes. Since guns in this world have only been a relatively recent invention in the past couple of decades, there was minimal use for the current models on the battlefield. They were deemed impractical due to the combination of low firepower, unreliability, and the extensive time to reload. It was therefore an opportune time for the Fiends to capitalize on weaponry that is still in its infancy stage and make major advancements far beyond what humans are capable of making. To put some things into perspective, the projectiles fired from guns lack the power to penetrate through fiends and steel, whereas the Saint of Gunpowder can easily kill fiends and armored warriors in one single shot. The gifted power to freely create and ignite gunpowder in the air grants the user a wide variety of applications. The Saint will have the unique ability to materialize full cartridge bullets, flare signals, a signal device that immediately alerts them, and other types of explosives. Fremy grew strong, as her mother had hoped for, never questioned the order to kill people, only gave it her best shot in hopes of making her family proud. She even unintentionally made a name for herself. As a human-fiend hybrid, she can do both things impossible for a human and things that are impossible for a fiend, like entering temples or areas that prevent fiends from crossing over. And that was the reason for her birth. She is merely an experiment nurtured to advance the revival of the demon god by the means of assassinating the strongest and promising braves, which would then leave only weak heroes as candidates to fight the demon god. But when she failed to kill the strongest saint known as Chamo, she outlived her usefulness. The attempt made on her life wasn't what broke her heart, but the reflection of their true colors. How could the one she considered family easily abandon one of their own, especially when fiends have been known to be innately loyal to their particular pack? I mean, the thing is, she never belonged to begin with. They were merely pretending to love her, and that's the awful realization that left Fremy a shell of her former self. Believe it or not, deceiving the half-human into thinking she was one of them wasn't done out of cruelty or with the aim to amuse themselves. Matter of fact, it was to make her strong by means of deceptive affection. A person that has something to fight for makes an effective soldier. A tool that has been encouraged, nurtured, driven with a purpose to fight for the sake of their loved ones will undoubtedly draw more potential than a mere puppet that has nothing to strive for other than to stop living in misery. If the fate of the half-human was always meant to be discarded, she wished they had treated her as a tool instead. At least that would have been true to how they perceived her worth. In either way, she would have ended up broken, but better to be broken from the start than break after learning the painful truth behind the beautiful lies. There's no loss of oneself when you lack an identity. You won't be left with regret over the killing of innocent people when you grew up cold and unfeeling. A slave at birth has nothing that can be taken. Deep inside, the thought of maybe it would have been better for her to have died there does cross her mind from time to time, since she severed her ties with the fiend signified by the broken horn fragment, and the humans will certainly not accept a child of a fiend and the brave killer. That's why she plans to die after exacting her revenge. That is, until she encountered best Guy Adlet, who was adamant on convincing her that she was being silly with the solo mission since you need all of the braves to work together to win against the demon god. Despite Fremy's best efforts to get away, she couldn't outrun him. Every attempt of deterring the stubborn, red-haired hero from continuing the pursuit only made him even more persistent. So much to her annoyance and confusion, she bit the bullet and joined him to meet the rest of the braves.
Shut up and keep walking. You're getting on my nerves.
Although once she spots the others, she's getting the heck out. To allay antisocial best girl's worries, Adlet declared he'll protect her since he's the strongest man in the world that would never abandon one of his own. But he ended up being the one that needed protecting in the end. Because when there were one too many braves at the rendezvous point, the heroes were led to believe that an imposter was amongst them. And with the circumstances stacked against him, he seemed the most suspicious. With how the situation unfolded, all things considered, not as bad as Fremy thought it would be given who she is. Sure, the clashing with the other braves is an inevitable consequence of bearing a damnable reputation of brave killer, but the expectations of having to fend for herself against the others they were resolved quite early. Yes, Chamo literally takes every chance to get the braves to kill Fremy, albeit without much success. The relentless threats were less about bringing the criminal to justice and more so on indulging in a personal grudge against a certain brave killer who not only killed one of her jelly pet friends but managed to also be the first one to have ever successfully fled from Chamo, which consequently ended her 100% elimination record. I think. Meanwhile, Fremy has been afraid of the little girl ever since that incident. Hans initially cleared Fremy of suspicion, stating that she had plenty of chances to kill the dumb brave who brought her to them. Though as an assassin by trade, he can sense the permeating darkness that resides in her, especially this strange hatred for Adlet. Mora, who served as the head of the World Temple, came across as the most gentle and the friendliest of heroes towards Fremy, outside of Adlet that is, even expressing gratitude for the company of Best Girl. Their brief exchange during the search for Adlet brought out a rare view of Fremy returning kindness through alleviating Mora's guilt for not investigating past information more carefully. You know, Best Girl secretly enjoyed the head pat. Nashetania didn't trust Fremy for good reasons, but she trusted Adlet, a decision that prompted skeptical Speeddraw to call the princess naive, replacing trust in a fool like him. Seeing where season 1 ended off, there's a huge irony to this part, being that the two didn't completely believe in their own words, and it was more to put up a front at the time. Goldof just straight up bullied our Best Girl. I mean, this is the heaviest punishment she received for the killing of countless heroes. I mean, now did she deserve it? Debatable. Am I being biased? Absolutely. Regardless, it was just plain rude, and we don't stand bullies around here. Adlet, the self-proclaimed strongest man in the world, always keeps his word. So if he promises you he'll protect you, you will be protected. Kinda.
I'm going to protect you to the end, because I'm the strongest man in the whole world!
He might be more average than he believes, but with his willpower to fight for his comrades, and especially the people he loves, our main lead does absolutely live up to his big talk. At every turn, he was always there to defend Fremy from the others. And that's more than enough reason for Fremy to remain wary of him. She considers Adlet a strange person that never ceases to surprise her.
You are a strange one.
Simply put, Fremy just doesn't understand a single thing that he's thinking. If Adlet claims he isn't the imposter, why does he believe the words from the brave killer, the next person that would be the most suspicious? Why was he so insistent on protecting her shortly after the reveal of her true identity? Despite being clear she has no intention of helping and that she didn't go out of her way to clear his name during the initial brave meeting, why is he still going out of his way to help her? It's far too suspicious. Well, Adlet, while their personalities are much more contrasting, realize he and Fremy are cut from the same cloth. Fully knowing the pain of being betrayed by those you believed in and losing your home, she was like his past self, fueled by vengeance. For that reason, our hero protagonist didn't want to believe she's an enemy, wholeheartedly convinced that the former fiend soldier had turned over a new leaf. And it's totally not like he loves her or anything. That's about as believable as someone who only has a strip of leather cloth as their top, saying they weren't cold after they just shivered in the freezing night.
The truth is, I love you, Flamie.
Okay, Adlet does love her, and another obligatory promise is made to allay Best Girl's concern about not having anywhere to go after the defeat of the demon god. Yes, light novel readers, I know the reason why he fell deeply in love with her at first sight, but anything beyond the first season, we're not going to bring that up here. In response to his confession, Fremy tried to kill him. Ah, what a rejection. Just when you think the two of them had started to understand one another a bit, Fremy was done. The sweet talk, the false promises, the pretend affection, no longer listening to the bull crap sprouting from his mouth. Being completely in denial about believing in Adlet, she shot him out of self-preservation, as she's been compelled to search for the cracks inside another person that prove they are wrong to trust, because hope is scary to someone that doesn't want to experience betrayal again.
I'll live alone, fight alone, and die alone.
But for those old wounds to heal, have to take the risk of opening your heart to someone else. It was only once Adlet proved her innocence in his final words before preparing for his own execution,
But Adlet,
is when Fremy finally decided to trust him. Knowing his desire to protect her was always indeed real, made her break down to tears because she swore to herself never to trust anyone again.
I know that I'll just end up believing you like before, even though I already decided to never believe anyone ever again.
It is true that she hates him,
I still hate you.
but the hatred aimed at him is incorrectly placed. When Fremy is with him, she wants to live, which offsets her resolve to die alone. He is the light in her darkness. Through her interactions with Adlet, we can see glimpses of a very kind and caring girl beneath a cold exterior. As much as she hates to admit it, their short time together had built a culmination of unprecedented development in their relationship and an inner struggle with her feelings for him. Exhibit A. Everything goes back to the time where she begrudgingly followed him despite knowing the consequences of meeting the other Braves. Considering she never perceived Adlet as a threat, the dilemma could have been dealt with at any point of their journey. It's clear she doesn't want to cause harm to heroes unless absolutely necessary for self-defense. This is evidenced by her only firing warning shots and throwing a threat of pulling the trigger at a person if they didn't leave her alone, only for things to go awry when she didn't commit. Being an assassin in the past doesn't make one devoid of morality. I mean, this contextualizes that the brave killer isn't willing to forgo her humanity of killing another innocent person, putting herself at bigger risk for joining him, while she has only sighed, become taken aback, or agitated in response to his enthusiastic stupidity. These small but expressive interjections help peel back the many layers she puts up. Moments like Adlet willingly giving up his only leverage over her and repeating the declaration that he will be there for her made Fremy realize that his kindness, well, just may be genuine.
You are a very kind person, aren't you? So don't point your kindness at me, because it makes me want to kill you.
Came with resistance and pushback. Exhibit B. Despite having suspicion about Adlet being the imposter, she, 1. Made the effort to treat his wound, claiming that there was a 1% chance that he was innocent.
Just in case.
Okay. 2. Taking interest in why he is the way he is in such a dire situation and exchanged backstories around a campfire. 3. Ironically questioned why Adlet didn't doubt her story if he's saying who he really is and not the 7th, and yet she believed his past and even became jealous that he has something that she doesn't have, and that is something to believe in. 4. Gave a signal bomb to him and lied to the other Braves to protect him, thereby granting him the chance to prove his innocence. So much for not trying to help him, right?
Flamie, would you be willing to help me out here?
Thanks, no.
You can say no, but your actions kind of say otherwise. In my opinion, it was her way of paying back the times when he tried to defend her from the others.
If you try to protect everyone, you'll be the one to die.
And 5. Respected his surrender despite her just furiously shooting at him moments ago. She wanted to listen and understand and perhaps, well, believe. Adlet became the first and only person that had made her believe in love again. Wanting to be by his side, she renounces her wish to kill the Demon King alone, becoming less defensive, more open when she's with him, especially when another girl is involved. Jealous Fremy gives me life. She has started caring deeply for him. However, she can't help but worry about him all the time. Fremy doesn't really know what to do with these newfound feelings of hers and needs some time to face herself before she can talk to someone she now trusts. Alrighty, how do you feel about Fremy Speeddraw? Comment down below with your thoughts, your opinions, and criticism of Best Girl. I'd love to hear what you think of her.